getting there.
Alright.
Give me a couple minutes.
Well, it's 7 o'clock.
Is it?
I call to order the October 23rd meeting of the Planning Commission. Can we have roll call, please?
Chair Quilty,
Here.
Vice Chair Zelmer.
Here.
Commissioner DeBolt,
Here.
Commissioner Gross,
Here.
Commissioner Hasty,
Here.
Commissioner Legere,
Here.
and Commissioner Lowe.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this point, if there's any individual in the audience who would like to address the Planning Commission and speak on any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission, please come up, and we're going to limit your comments to 5 minutes. Okay, seeing no one come up, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Oh, well, these we're going to do when we call up the actual item. Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the regular meeting minutes from August 28th. Do we have any comments?
I'll move approval. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Move on to the public hearing for the site development permit for the Lamson project. Can we have a staff report?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Chair Colty and members of the Planning Commission. As you recall, this item was brought back the previous month. We are in October, September, and it's a continuance of last month. And so we're not going to go over the full-blown presentation like we did last month. But at the last month meeting, the Planning Commission motioned some questions. And so we're just going to talk about those questions and go from there, okay? So like I said, I'm going to go by one what the Planning Commission motioned that night. One of the first question is, what percentage of on-site landscaping is proposed to be provided for the project? Does the required 15% of landscape area appear on both properties, parcel 1 and parcel 2? The applicant did come back with a revised plan to situate, because if you recall, one of it was the striping per our municipal code, 17 feet parking striping was converted to 19. So they made that change. And at the end of the day, the overall project to meet the municipal code of 15% was accomplished. Okay. Question 2, the applicant was directed to add a second trash dumpster enclosure to the southern area of the proposed affordable housing parcel. In the landscape plan, which was amended, they did put a secondary trash enclosure there on the southern section of the parking area. Third question, which I addressed earlier, 17-foot long space in the outdoor area needs to be 9 feet by 19 feet. This is for the parking, and again, in the amended site plan, this has been accomplished as well. Number 4, what assurance does the city have the proposed affordable housing will actually be built, right? So if you recall, the unit has market rate units, which is a combination of townhomes and single-family homes. And then there are the affordable side, which is on the other side of it. And so basically, we have conditioned in the project that basically they cannot finish building the open market rate of the last 10%, which equates to 17 units, until the affordable units will begin building. Okay? So again, it's in their condition, and again, at the 10% is the 17 units altogether, okay? Let's see what else we got here. Although not included as part of the motion to continue the public hearing, Commissioner Hasty did request to provide a progress report on negotiation for the sewer connection with the Rossmore Los Alamos Area Sewer District and the Seal Beach Sewer Department. So the board of the Rossmore Los Alamos Area Sewer District met to discuss the negotiation with the city of Seal Beach. concerning the connection for the project on Monday, October 7th. While the city of Seal Beach has not made a decision on this front, it was agreed that if the city of Seal Beach did not allow the connection to their sewer district, the Rossmore Los Alamitos Area Sewer District would find a way to accommodate the sewer's connection by building an extension to the project, and the extension of this new sewer line extension will be constructed at the developer's expense. Okay, so that, again, I believe answered the motion that was brought forth at last month meeting, and we are here for any questions. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions of staff?
I have one. In regards to the condition on the sewer, the update, if it does fall and Seal Beach doesn't approve it and it goes to the Rossmore Community Service and the developer pays for it, are there any considerations or conditions that the city of Los Alamitos will not be liable for any of that extra work? Is that something that we're just assuming, or they're going to accept all financial, if it doesn't go through? I mean, that's plan B. Or are we going to, I mean, I hate to see that come back and all of a sudden now to get this built, we got to chip in.
No, that's a good question, Commissioner Hasty.
Well, Rossmore Los Alamitos Sewer District has the contract, with the city to build the sewers for the city. And they're actually not the Rossmore Community Services District, they're Rossmore Los Alamitos Area Sewer District. And they will build it based on what the developer will pay for it. And so that's, yeah.
So,
It's not, the city wouldn't be held liable for it. Wouldn't
Okay.
be required to pay for it.
So basically, Commissioner Hasty, there is not a specific condition that states that the city, is financially, for or will pay or not pay for that. So yeah, to answer your question, we do not have a condition that states that.
I can chime in on that.
Go ahead, Art.
I'll just chime in on the, on page 24 under conditions, condition number 109 addresses the issue of the sewer connections, that they have to be submitted to the city of Seal Beach and/or Rossmore Los Alamitos Sewer District to see if a plant check inspection sewer study is required. Approval of the sewer capacity study is required from the applicable sewer agency prior to the issuance of a building permit. So before they begin building, they have to have a sewer connection. And that they would have to pay for it. I mean, is that specific? I guess that's the question. Is
Yeah.
it specifically called out that it would be at their expense?
if it comes to that, yeah.
So I guess that's
Again, Commissioner Hasty, it's a good question, and typically, when we do construction project of any sort, especially in this case right here, where the city of Los Alamitos is not constructing the homes, okay? It's primarily an issue, and this concern is between the applicant and the Rossmore Los Alamitos Area Sewer District in Seal Beach. If Seal Beach says, no, we're not gonna let you, come into the sewer of Seal Beach, then at the end of the day, either Rossmore Los Alamitos Area Sewer District or the applicant will be funding that. Again, this is not a construction project for the city, so we are not obligated to pay any of it at the end of the day. And if Rossmore Los Alamitos Area Sewer District and the applicant does not come to a agreement, then the project does not move forward.
Okay, I guess that's fair. I guess my only concern would be, since, Rossmore, the sewer district does build our stuff, that at some point, that option could become financially unfeasible, and they'd be coming back to us. That was my only point, to chip in, to get that done.
Understood.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Where was the condition the city set on the
No, there is not a condition that states that it's at their cost.
There's not a condition?
Correct. Correct, but it's assumed because it's their development project.
It's not our project.
Yeah.
If we were developing,
We're not.
we'd pay.
Yeah.
That'd be between the sewer district and between the applicant. Who pays for it, how they,
I think that the sewer district is the one that came up with the fact that it would be at their
exactly,
expense. We didn't put it in our conditions.
Right.
That's their condition.
that's their
Right.
condition.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Anybody else have any questions?
Not yet.
Okay, at this point, we'll open up the public hearing if the applicant would like to come up.
Good evening, Chair Quilty, Planning Commissioners, staff. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to come back in front of Commission again with this project. Wanted to comment that we appreciate the insight on some of the points of clarification and additions that were recommended. We feel like we've addressed those, and wanted to make it clear that we are fully committed to building this project in its entirety, and that we believe that the community and the city of Los Alamitos will be extremely proud of this project once it's fully constructed. I would add one thing based on the question from Commissioner Hasty, that we're happy to add a condition or a line at the end of
109.
the fact that either the sewer will be managed through the City of Seal Beach or Rossmore Sewer District before a building permit will be obtained at no cost to the City of Los Alamitos, or something along those lines that would satisfy that concern. So,
Okay.
our team is here. If you have any questions for us, we're happy to answer them. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, Susan Perrell.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the uncertified environmental impact report for the Lamson project. I hope my comments tonight will be helpful to the Planning Commission and to the project. My name is Susan Perrell. I'm a longtime Seal Beach resident and environmental engineer with years of experience leading environmental studies and working with federal, state, and local permitting agencies, businesses, and communities to create CEQA certifiable development projects. For the following reasons, I do not see how this project EIR can be certifiable. As stated in the EIR, the project will result in significant environmental impacts. Those impacts are clearly not unavoidable or irreducible. The project mitigations will not reduce those impacts to below significance. Some mitigation measures provided in the EIR are inadequate and ineffective. The project assumes that necessary agreements and entitlements, including an entitlement to pollute and flood Seal Beach, will be granted while providing no evidence for such. The EIR does not comply with CEQA because feasible and practical mitigation for significant impacts was not adequately addressed. The EIR does not comply with CEQA because feasible and practical project alternatives that will reduce significant impacts while still delivering the project objectives and benefits were not considered in the EIR. The elephant in this project is the project size. It's too big, too many units, resulting in serious and significant impacts and usurping the space needed for adequate impact mitigation. A reduction in project size could reduce or avoid the significant VMT impact as well as other critical impacts. It would also enable more effective mitigation. A reduced size project was not analyzed or adequately considered in the EIR. Please let me explain how reducing the number of proposed units and residents could effectively mitigate and avoid the significant VMT impact in 3 important ways. It will reduce the number of cars and trips. It will provide space for needed public transportation, including a school bus stop, a commuter bus stop, and rideshare parking. It will create space to upgrade the existing Class 2 bike lane to Class 1, connecting it to the existing Class bike lane in Seal Beach Boulevard, improving safety and appeal of bike transport. In addition to VMT, other serious project impacts could also be mitigated by a reduced project size. For flooding, the proposed underground stormwater detainment system is not adequately reliable or maintainable to effectively mitigate the project's unsafe and nuisance flooding. A reduced project would provide the surface area needed to build a reliable and maintainable above-ground stormwater detainment instead. This was not evaluated in the EIR. For public safety impacts, the space for a westbound school bus stop would also become available, which is a safer alternative than the dangerous unloading process proposed in the EIR. For sewer impacts, the impacts and cumulative impacts to the existing sewer systems would be directly mitigated by fewer housing units. For parking impacts, a reduced project would reduce parking demand, bring the project closer to meeting city parking requirements, while providing additional space for more on-site parking. In summary, the project maximizes units and revenues for the project proponent and for the city, but it results in avoidable and significant environmental impacts that have not been adequately mitigated or avoided. This does not seem to be consistent with CEQA's intent and purpose. I recommend that the EIR be revised to include feasible mitigation and alternatives that would avoid or reduce the project's significant and critical impacts, and then have it be circulated for public review. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a written comment.
Frank Marchez? Frank? Oh, come back to him. Frank Marchez? There he is.
You got my name right, thank you. That Italian name is hard to pronounce, and you got it. You know, my whole life, I've only had maybe about 20 people pronounce it right, cold. Yeah, they always get it wrong. But anyways, I didn't know I was coming here tonight until I was just cleaning up the dinner, and my wife said, we got to go over there, and oh, da, da, da. So I have nothing prepared. All I'm saying is I'm in favor of the Lamson project. I've said it before, because we have so much going on Catella here. The racetrack, all the buildings, they're building and building and building. I'm from a development family. My father was a real estate developer, a very successful one. There's plenty up in this area, and there's going to be plenty more in the future. There's nothing down in that area. That's 1965 down there. It's beautiful. It's quiet. That street has very little traffic on it. So they're going to complain to you tonight, and there's a lot of them here. There's not many of us up in here. They're on my side of this argument, but I'm saying is that I am for building down there, because we're going to have to build a lot more up here. California is overbuilding because we have a governor who wants this. I didn't vote for him. A lot of you Democrat people voted for him. Now you're dealing with what he wants for your neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Patty Senecal? Patty Senecal? Okay.
Good evening, Patty Senecal. I reside in College Park East, directly across the street from the project that's being proposed. When we were here a month ago, the direction from this body was to reach out to Seal Beach and talk about the sewer system. And I heard earlier when staff said that Seal Beach has reached no decision, I would agree with that, because we've received nothing for a will serve letter, nor has a will serve letter come to our council to consider. So in the last 30 days, there is no agreement because nothing has come forward to Seal Beach. I would also like to state that I do agree with the project proponent that this does benefit Los Alamitos, undoubtedly. However, it does not benefit our city with some of the issues you've already heard that need to be mitigated. So it is my opinion that this should be delayed because this project is not a final EIR. This is very much still in the draft stages because the cities haven't even had a chance to talk together. And there is no will serve or letter from the base in the updated materials that they will take stormwater. That is not a complete decision that we have seen yet. As far as the sewer, again, that needs to come back to Seal Beach to discuss. The water is another issue, and that hookup needs to happen on Lamson, again, Seal Beach. So there is a water issue as well that is not ready to go. So I would also like the remark about the traffic. We do have periods of traffic that we are backed up, like down to Old Ranch, just in the mornings and the afternoons, and we are the overflow for the 405 when it is backed up. People get off and they use Lamson, so there is definite traffic impacts over there. So in closing, I would like to concur with what was stated earlier. I think this project is not ready to go as a final EIR. There's much more discussions that need to take place, and I think the feasible mitigation measures have not been brought forward, haven't been considered. And I would also like to note, this doesn't just impact Lamson. that traffic will be up on Los Alamitos Boulevard. It will impact everyone. Rossmore, it's going to impact everybody trying to get up and down to the high school where all of our kids go to school. So I think we need to look a little more beyond just one street. This will have impact everywhere. And so I think we need to hold off on this. It's not ready to go, and go ahead and look at mitigation measures to reduce the project impacts to the surrounding cities. Thank you for letting me comment.
Thank you. Janelle Sagan.
Hi, Janelle Sagan. Thank you once again for allowing me to voice my opinion and overall excitement about the housing project on Lamson. I'd like to thank the gentlemen in the back for their service and for being here tonight to represent an amazing group of people that will largely benefit from this project. I think it goes without saying what the benefits of the additional revenue streams would be for the city of Los Alamitos. Excuse me. From a fiscal standpoint, it really feels like a no-brainer for me. What I'd like to talk about, though, are the many opportunities this project will bring to not only live in our community, but to contribute to our community, which we all know is just as important. People can and do transfer their kids into our district for a myriad of reasons. I'd love to say it's our high level of standards of education, which are certainly a perk, but it's actually more about our sports programs and our other extracurricular activities that we offer, also at a high level. As a parent who had 2 kids participate in some of these programs, I know firsthand that they are not free, they are not cheap, and they are not subsidized by the district. With national titles to both of our choir programs and our varsity song program, we are sure to attract kids from all over the state. Our football program has been known to attract kids from not only California, but also outside the state as well. We currently have the number 6 top recruit heading to Oklahoma, and the the number 15 top recruit heading to Oregon, and we all know who we just graduated out of our system. Our girls volleyball program are not only CIF champs, but are ranked 22 in the nation. I could go on, but my point is that people want kids in our schools. As someone who has served on many years on various boards for booster programs, I can tell you firsthand that the majority of the support for these programs comes from our residents. The people who pay taxes here, shop here, eat out here, and those of us who run our businesses here. If you can get a 70-30 split on financial support from the parents, you are running a successful booster club for your sport. Not all families can afford to contribute monetarily, and that's okay, because there are many other ways to make these programs work. And that's by volunteering your time. But we have found out time and time again that many of the out-of-district families do not participate in many, if not any, of the fundraising opportunities. And it isn't because they aren't interested. It isn't because they don't want their kids' sports or activity to succeed. That's literally why they're in our school. It's a discomfort thing. It's a belonging thing. This is not their community, and we are not their neighbors. It's been shown time and time again that when you have a vested interest in your community, you contribute to that community in a more meaningful way. This project will help bridge the gap between just sending out-of-district kids to our school to fill those seats, which benefits, of course, the school district. And those families actually being able to relocate here, live here, shop here, not just send their kids here, not just send their kids to school here. And most importantly, give them the opportunity to contribute to this community in a meaningful way, because it becomes their community, and we become their neighbors. I can't speak on environmental impact, okay, that's not my lane, but I can speak to housing. I've been in lending for over 25 years, almost 20 of those years serving this community predominantly. With rates and our current lack of not only inventory, but affordable inventory, my job is getting progressively harder and harder to do. I don't need to go into much detail about what a housing project like this would do to my overall volume and the growth of my business, along with so many other business owners that are in my industry. To be honest, it's more about the opportunity to grow our community in a meaningful way. Adding diversity and expanded opportunities for families that wouldn't otherwise have the chance to live in Los Alamitos, not to mention my own kids who would love to stay local.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
All good. I urge a yes vote. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ashley Nichols.
Good evening. As you stated, my name is Ashley Nichols and I live in the Highlands neighbourhood of Los Alamitos. I'm here again this evening to reiterate my support for the Lamson Park Place housing project. As I stated at the last meeting, I have observed that over the past decade or so, the amount of new housing units being built in Los Alamitos has been very low when compared to other communities around us like Cyprus. Approving the Lamson Park Place project will help to make our city proactive in solving the current housing crisis. From the last meeting and what I've seen of the designs, the housing units look to be well thought out, well designed, exactly what this city needs. As stated, our city needs this project. We need opportunities for housing for our adult children starting out in life, our families, and for those financially less fortunate who are the key to the fabric of our community. I'm speaking about the restaurant worker, the grocery store clerk, the teacher, the police officer. Most of these jobs do not make income that allows them to afford the rents being charged today for new apartment units in our city. The affordable units being provided with this project provide an opportunity for people who hold these jobs to be able to afford to live and work in our city in a brand new state-of-the-art apartment community, something that they can feel proud about. The positive flow-on effects will be significant to our community, so I encourage you to do the right thing, cast a vote based upon facts and what is best for the city and residents of Los Alamitos. Please vote to recommend the City Council approve the Lamson Park Place project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mary Ramsden.
Good evening. As these prior speakers have mentioned, when the federal government decided to sell their property right across the street from my house, Los Alamitos was thrilled to get a private developer to buy that. There's a clear benefit to Los Alamitos at the expense of Seal Beach, and particularly of my neighborhood, College Park East. As other speakers have stated, the mitigation measures have been completely inadequately addressed. As far as water service is concerned, the EIR says that Golden State Water will serve the project. With what? There are no pipes in place for Golden State to do that. Parkwood gets its water from Seal Beach. There is a water meter there, and once a month, a Seal Beach employee goes over there to read the meter, and then they bill Golden State, which in turn bills the residents of Parkwood, as they have the meters on their homes. So, it appears you will also need water service from Seal Beach, and Seal Beach has no reason to provide that for you. Sewers. The office building flush toilets Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Homes flush toilets 24/7, take showers and run washing machines and dishwashers and water lawns, etc. Whole other level of capacity is needed. We have issues with our sewer system in Seal Beach, which is now approaching 60 years old. It is not new, and we have other projects coming up right down the street on the corner of Seal Beach Boulevard and Lamson, and we have to take care of Seal Beach first. As far as stormwater runoff is concerned, College Park East is downhill from your proposed project. Again, Seal Beach will be getting the short end of the stick here. What you have proposed is inadequate, and excess water will run down Lamson to Heather, down Heather to Ironwood, and then down Ironwood, adding to our already overloaded storm drainage system. And we have had multiple problems in the past with storm drainage without 250 extra units over there. This development's density could severely strain our Seal Beach resources, overload sewage and water systems, increase traffic and congestion, limited parking that will overflow into College Park East, flooding risks, and the added burden on Heather Park and local infrastructure. Los Alamitos will benefit from the taxes, while Seal Beach bears the brunt and the costs and the problems. All the negative impacts will be here in Seal Beach, and that doesn't work for us. And none of this is addressed in the EIR. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken Bamberg.
Hi there. My name is Ken Bamberg, and I was at the most recent Planning Commission meeting, so I apologize. I'm not meaning to be here and be redundant. At the end of the last meeting, I honestly felt like I had done my due diligence. I had looked into this. I live right across the street in College Park East. This matters to me. The truth is I was for the project beforehand, but after I heard how excited the veterans were and how important this was to them, it really made me feel like I was done. Like that was all I needed to hear in order to feel like this was a good project and this was something that should move forward. But since nothing in the world is guaranteed, I just wanted to just come back and make sure that you guys knew that members of the community really do feel like this is a good project. The biggest reason I support the project is because it represents a more affordable solution for everyone, including the people that we want to live nearby. The one thing that stood out about the project is some of the units are being built for people who need and provide assistance to our community, teachers, emergency personnel, vets, and those holding service jobs. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And I'm not here to like make this sound like this is the best deal the city's ever going to get for that land, but it's like, it really comes together in a way that I feel like is just very considerate of the folks that live here already. It leads me to think that the new neighborhood is being built by people who are looking to do the right thing for the community by attracting the right type of residents. Overall, I see this project as a much-needed solution to support our fast-growing community more than anything else, and it's being built by people who have the right idea in mind. I know there are more concerns, especially for my CPE neighbors, but if we end up having to drive a little slower and more carefully on Lamson because there are more cars and more kids on the road, that might end up being a good thing and we save more lives. Please take this into consideration, do what's best for our community, and vote to approve the Lamson Park project. Thank you.
Thank you. Maggie Marchese.
Thank you. My name is Maggie, and I'm a Los Alamitos resident, and I support this project. And I really think that we should just move this project along because it's going to happen. And I know there are a lot of concerns. I totally get them. I live in Carrier Row, and we are victims of Cypress projects. It's just the housing mandate, you know. So if we don't build on Lamson, then we're going to have to build along Catella, and that's already crowded. It's inevitable. We're going to have to do it. We have to comply with the governor's housing mandate. We don't have a choice. So, you know, unfortunately, some people voted for this governor, and this is what we get. And furthermore, who represents Los Alamitos residents and our interests? No one else is representing us. No one. Cypress, they don't care. CPE, Seal Beach, they don't care. Who's representing us? Rossmore, they don't care. No, they're here speaking against something that benefits our community. Who's going to represent Los Alamitos residents? You all. You're there for us. So, you know, they want you to take care of them first. Well, what about us? What about the residents who can't be here tonight because they're taking care of kids and they're getting them ready for school tomorrow? Who's speaking for them? That's your job, is think about us. So, thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Showalter.
My name is Catherine Showalter. Good evening. I'm a resident of Seal Beach, and I chair the City of Seal Beach Environmental Quality Control Board representing District 4. So, good evening, Chair Quilty, Vice Chair Zelmer, and Commissioners. I hope that you've had the opportunity to read the October 21, 2024 comment letter sent to you from our Environmental Quality Control Board regarding the FEIR for the Lamson Park Place project. Our board met last Wednesday evening, October 16, 2024. The purpose was to listen to public comments and discuss the contents of the FEIR. This included consideration of the project's responses to comments made by the City of Seal Beach. After a robust discussion, the board agreed on the following areas of concern, and they are specifically addressed in the letter. The intent is to help clarify and shape the content of the project. The areas addressed are the following: draining and flooding concerns, sewer system impacts, transportation, transit constraints, pedestrian and bike, traffic flow and congestion, construction impacts, preservation of existing infrastructure, safety concerns, and the premature nature of the proposal with unanswered questions. At this point, I would like to delve into one of the areas of concern. It is clearly stated in the FEIR that the vehicle miles traveled that the project would generate will cause unavoidable adverse environmental effects. The project is required to comply with mitigation measure MM 4.15.1, which refers to transportation demand management strategies. They are identified in the CAPCOA handbook, but I question that they were all considered and evaluated, much less adopted. The Caltrans designated park and ride lot is a TDM measure and an asset to the project. It is no surprise that it has not been used in the past 18 months since the West Ed building was vacant. Who would want to leave their car in a deserted parking lot? However, the Federal Southwest Regional Lab at 4655 Lamson Avenue is still listed on the Department of Transportation website as a Caltrans park and ride lot facility with 66 spaces. If reinstated, those 66 spaces could help solve the parking problem for AYSO games and assist in ride-sharing opportunities to reduce vehicle miles traveled. It could be a convenient pickup and drop-off area for Uber and Lyft. It would be a safe place for children to catch the school bus. Students could walk to the park and ride lot directly from their homes in the project to meet the bus without needing to cross Lamson for the Heather Park bus stop. It could be used for reserved community-based travel, such as transit to special events. Think Dodger and Angel games. Mention is made that the project would place housing within a job-rich area, but there is little or no transit near the development. Jobs housing balance is a lofty goal, but how do low-income residents get to their jobs? Large employers such as the Los Alamitos Medical Center, Boeing, and Cal State Long Beach are not walkable. Will ride-sharing options be communicated and marketed as another TDM strategy by the Homeowners Association? There will be an on-site leasing office with a representative on the grounds. Why not take advantage of it? The pedestrian and bicycle network improvements are appreciated. The inclusion of broadband infrastructure is notable, but there is so much more that can be done by taking advantage of the park and ride lot. It would require a reduction in the density of the project, but in exchange for viable transportation services. In closing, the proposed development plan for the Lamson Park project raises significant concerns due to its excessive density and premature nature. Numerous essential questions remain unanswered.
Sorry, your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Hansberg.
Hi, good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Elizabeth Hansberg. I'm the co-founder and director of the housing advocacy organization People for Housing Orange County. And I'm here as a housing advocate to speak in support of this project because it brings the type of housing that we are so desperately in need of, which is below market rate affordable housing and first-time home buyer townhomes, small lot, single family. This is the first-time home buyer product that residents in Orange County can afford. They aren't buying the more traditional, 1,200 to 2,000 square foot houses on 7 to 10,000 square foot lots. We aren't building that way anymore. And however we got here, it's unfortunate that this project is pitting one city against another. I don't think any of us want to see that, and we don't want to take it out on our neighbors. But the reality is that Los Alamitos has done the work to get a compliant housing element, and that's something that the residents or the leadership in Dana Point is still, I'm sorry, not Dana Point, Seal Beach is still struggling with. They have not yet gotten a compliant housing element, which speaks overall to sort of a resistance to housing. And I really do believe that that's what you're encountering here, right? The state has asked us as communities to make room for new housing, to particularly make room for affordable housing, multifamily housing, rental housing. And there's resistance to that, and people will find any reason. So moving this project forward so that they have an approval from Los Alamitos in terms of land use control, that's when they get to talk to the people that will provide the utility hookups. Until they have an approval, there's nothing to talk about. Seal Beach isn't going to say boo until they know that what the parameters of the project are. So the next step in achieving the goals that are in the Los Alamitos housing element is to move this project forward. So I would ask you to please support this project. You've done the work. Move it forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Max Clark.
Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Max Clark. I still can't afford to live here, as I told you a month ago. And I still think that this is a good housing project. I am definitely a layman when it comes to the environmental impact, but it's a little difficult for me to understand what could be at that Lamson site that would be better than housing. It's been there since I was playing soccer there when I was 10 years old, and it sure seems like it would be an ideal place to build a bunch of great new residences. I understand hating traffic. I understand hating car travel, to be honest. They're loud, they cause a lot of pollution. I know this is beyond the scope of tonight, but if you can do transit-oriented development, more bus routes, more bike lanes, that would be amazing. If people can shop more closely, if people can travel more safely, I think they will do that. And I think our other option is to kick the bucket down the road and make other cities have to deal with more people. And we can continue sprawling, or Los Alamitos can lead the way in providing new housing. I'm not familiar with coming to these kinds of events, and it is a little frustrating and a little sad to see the cities fighting with one another. I'm also a little tired of all the partisan politics, to be frank. And I really think at the foundation of this is there's only so much land to go around. And some people got here first, and they are landlords, they are owners. And I don't want to take land from them. I just want to share. And I think that I would be proud if Los Alamitos, my hometown, would help in sharing with the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you. Enia Ostrich.
Oops, sorry. Good evening. My name is Enia Ostrich, and I'm a resident of College Park, East Seal Beach. In the 5-year study by CHP in the FEIR, it's not sufficient. This is because in the past 5 years, as we all know, half of it, we weren't here. We weren't driving, we weren't doing things, at least not the people that didn't have essential jobs. How can we compare that? I mean, to the state, we just can't. Regarding the storm drain issue, Lamson has historically not drained well at all. Seal Beach has not fixed it. The detention storage design in the FEIR indicates it will hold back stormwater. With stormwater flows we have had over the years, and especially this year, that promise is never going to be fulfilled. The project's finished flow elevations are to be 1 foot above the water surface. This won't do because history tells us this whole area of Lamson was a dry lake bed. In 1970, College Park East was built under that period's building codes. Years later, we have a storm drain plans which have caused major flooding with no clear solutions to date. I would hope that in 2024, the developer for this project could figure this out. But unless they have more knowledge than the city of Seal Beach, Los Alamitos, Cypress, everyone who has built, I sure hope they can. I hope they can figure it out. In relation to the construction impacts that EQCB addressed just earlier, Showalter did, and it's addressed, of course, the letter that she was talking about. I'm concerned about the travel and the use of heavy trucks on Lamson as well on site. Due to historical proposal from Los Alamitos to bring heavy trucks with compost for JFTB, Seal Beach responded by adding signs that don't allow trucks over 3 tons on Lamson, so there's signs out there. Needless to say, the compost program never came because of that. Considering this project could take 39 months, at least, that is heavy wear and tear on Lamson. It's just not built for heavy truck travel for 3 years, or over 3 years. College Park recently had heavy asphalt trucks driving through to paved streets. And believe me, we let the city know our streets aren't equipped for those turnarounds. It's the turnarounds into the neighborhood that they have to do. We have 2 lanes on one side, we have 2 lanes on the other side. That's it. And there's heavy trucks. We've had it now with all the work that we've done. We've done the bridge, we've done, all of Lamson is being redirected, at least on one side where I'm at. Trucks are a problem. Lastly, the neglect in the FEIR is so bad that the EQCB addressed key issues that us residents have made comments on all along. We matter. College Park East matters. Los Al residents actually are over in Parkwood. They matter too. They're next to the project too. I hope you reject this EIR as it stands right now. And there's one more last point that I wanted to make, and I just want to add this. Just across the street from Norm's Garage in Los Al is a large condo unit, which had affordable in it. I already know that. Lots of leasing. Every week that I have passed over there, because I have a car to get fixed over at Goodyear, I see that. So I just wanted to point that out, that yes, we need it, affordable housing.
Time is up.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you. P. Alex, I can't read, S-A-E-N-Y?
Hello, Commissioner and Board. My name is Alex Sines. I'm from Seal Beach, and I would like to point out that when College Park East was first being developed, the Lamson Avenue was a dirt road. The city of Seal Beach offered to the city of Los Alamitos a 50-50 partnership to build the infrastructure that is now Lamson Avenue. The city of Los Alamitos rejected it. And so the city of Seal Beach issued a notice to the city of Los Alamitos that yes, we will build all of the infrastructure to make Lamson Avenue usable. And so now, both curbs for the entire length of Lamson Avenue and all of the pavement and all of the subsurface improvements are the property of the city of Seal Beach. The city of Los Alamitos has no financial interest in any of the Lamson Avenue improvements. The developer has most magnanimously offered to build a school bus turnout by cutting into and removing the curb on that side of Lamson Avenue. They cannot do that. They do not own it. The city of Los Alamitos does not own it. The city of Los Alamitos cannot cut through the pavement to run a sewer line, a water line, or any kind of subsurface improvement because the city of Los Alamitos for years and years and years has been offered to have a ownership participation in the improvements, and at every opportunity has rejected. So the city of Los Alamitos has absolutely no ownership interest in any Lamson Avenue improvements. Thank you.
Carol Churchill.
Good evening. I live in Rossmore, but I've been following the housing development both in Los Alamitos and Seal Beach because we're in the sphere of influence, and whatever these two cities do is going to affect us. Primarily, the Rossmore Los Alamitos Sewer District. I paid my property tax bill the other day, and guess what? I pay a sewer fee to that district. So my question is Rossmore going to be paying for the excessive cost to run a line from Lamson all the way to the Rossmore Sewer District? Does anybody know? Has anybody asked? You should look at that, because I'm not going to be happy if my assessment on my property tax bill in Rossmore is covering the developer's cost. Your statement about the sanitation district in Rossmore will cover that, they will handle it, only tells me there's going to be a new assessment. It doesn't tell me the developer's going to pay for his own sewer line. It tells me he's going to get the district to impose an assessment not only on Rossmore, but Los Alamitos, and you're going to see that on your tax bill. So when you write your conditions of approval, you want to make that financial condition really, really clear. That if he wants to run a sewer line all the way from Lamson, I don't know how he's going to get it to that district. Because any of you look at a map? Any of you look at the map of Seal Beach's sewer lines? Have you looked at the map of the Rossmore Los Alamitos sewer lines? I have. There's no connection, and your FEIR tells you that. It says there is no feasible financial alternative except to connect to Seal Beach. So here's what I suggest. Play nice with Seal Beach. When they write you a letter spelling out what mitigation measures they would like to have, which are really reasonable, you should sit down with them. You should tell the developer to sit down with them. I don't know why they're just talking to you. How can you buy a piece of property in 2021, spend $26 million on it, and not do due diligence to figure out if you can connect to the adjoining city's sewer? These are professionals in real estate development. How could you miss that? Why are we here today talking about that sewer connection? We shouldn't be. This should have been planned in 2022. I'm asking you to just look at the Seal Beach letter, the one that's dated October 21st. You should all have a copy of it. And the closing line says this, which I think is very reasonable. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comments on the FEIR for the city's consideration. We look forward to working with the City of Los Alamitos on a mutually beneficial project. Nobody's trying to dump it. They're just asking you to pay attention to them and don't treat them like they're not involved, that they're not harmed by this. Cooperate with them. Play nice.
Brian Bell.
Good evening, Commissioners. Stand in front of you guys as the commander of the American Legion of Los Alamitos, a resident of Los Alamitos, also a Marine that was stationed at Seal Beach Naval Weapons Station, and also a soldier that was stationed over Los Alamitos Base. I'm in total support of this project for several reasons. As the commander of the American Legion, we are also an employer here in Los Alamitos. It is very difficult for us to find employees, keep them, because they can't afford to live close by. A lot of them are commuting in from far away as downtown LA to just have a job here. They love the area, they love the job, but they just can't afford to live in the community, so we're unable to keep them. As the commander of the American Legion, we have a need of veterans. We do a lot of outreach with the colleges, veterans going to college, Cypress College, Cerritos College, and they're in our post all the time talking about how they can't afford to live, how they can't afford to eat because they're paying rent. The GI Bill is just not going as far as it used to with the rents. This project offers an alternative to that, where they're giving low-income veteran preference residential housing in the project, which would fit that need. And this would, the developer has been very friendly. They've come into the post and they've got feedback from us on how they can do it better. They are going to possibly give us, they're going to help with the application process to get veterans in there. And veterans are good people. They go through background checks. They'd be good residents. For Los Alamitos, I was one that actually had to commute in from a different area because I couldn't afford to live in Los Alamitos or Seal Beach. That's all I have for you tonight. Thank you, guys. I trust that you guys will do your due diligence on the project and make a good decision. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Patty Campbell.
Good evening, Patty Campbell, College Park East, also on the Planning Commission, so I'm well acquainted with your job. We're not against the project, we're against the negative impacts to Seal Beach, College Park East, and that's what we need mitigated. Okay, now, this project is way too dense and there is insufficient parking. If you remove the northernmost apartment building, that frees up more room for parking. Have the remaining 2 apartment buildings for seniors and veterans. I have a sore spot in my heart for veterans because my husband was a veteran of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. So yes, I advocate for veterans. And the 2 buildings should be just limited to seniors and veterans. Okay. Their parking needs are not as great as that of growing families. There's no public transportation to that site, so everyone will have cars, with families having at least 2 cars, and if they've got teenagers, they're going to have more cars driving around looking for places to park. To help with parking, you're going to mandate the townhouse residents to park their cars in their garages, and they're going to be checked from time to time to be sure they can do that. In other words, can't use your garages for storage. That's going to be tough to regulate. Are you going to have a homeowners association that's going to do that? Okay, now Arbor Park. Arbor Park closes at sunset and opens at sunrise. no overnight parking. That's the base rules. The base will not allow you to take down the fence. That's a property line. Matter of fact, when a former base commander, Colonel John Smith, realized that someone had put a gate in that fence, he was not happy. I was there walking with him, and he goes, "Where'd this thing come from?" It's a security issue with the military, which is why it has to be closed at night with no overnight parking. They were even talking about putting concertina wire along the fence baseline. That's going to look really nice. Okay, the on-site park is way too small for approximately 100 kids. You need a larger park for them. It is your responsibility to provide that, not the city of Seal Beach. It's not fair for Seal Beach residents to have them invade Heather Park, which is the closest park with equipment. Now, they can run at Arbor Park when there are no games or practices, but if they start crossing the street to Heather Park, it's going to overload Heather, and it's also going to create a dangerous situation when crossing Lamson. You need to remove some more of the houses to provide more park space for the kids that will live there. You got to take care of your own effects. Okay, Lamson Avenue. First fatality that I can remember was back in 1971 on the curve and heading westbound. There have been so many really bad accidents and fatalities on the curve that it has become known as Dead Man's Curve. The curve is not banked for speed, but for drainage. All you have to do is look at the block wall, and you see all the multiple times where it's been repaired, and in some cases, multiple times in the same place. So Lamson is a Seal Beach street, and there are signs that say no vehicles over 3 tons. When the base commander wanted to run approximately 30 to 35 trucks down Lamson for his composting project, City of Seal Beach told him he could not do that due to their excessive weight. Consequently, the trucks had to enter and exit the main gate. Now, construction traffic for this project will destroy Lamson. It's not built for that type of traffic. And you'll need to compensate Seal Beach for road repairs and or repaving when construction is completed. You can't destroy our street and turn around and walk away. Now, we also have one lady who was here, and she spoke about the moon trees that were grown from seedlings that went to the moon. There are 2 trees right at the entrance to Arbor Park, and I had our Seal Beach arborist take a look at them, and he said, yeah, they're about 50 years old. And now Fish and Game ran that project of planting these all over the country, and who was at that building? Fish and Game. They had 5 trees that were planted, only 3 remain. So we would like to ask that, if possible, now the 2 that are right at the driveway, they're great. One that's about 25, 30 feet away, not so much. But we'd like to see if possibly those 2 moon trees can stay, because that's a little bit of history, okay? Let's see. Gas lines. This is your problem with the gas, with the sewers, running the sewer line. There is a
I'm
gas
sorry,
line.
your time is up.
Oh, all right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak?
Thank you for the comments from all the others. I'd just like to make a couple comments regarding some of those addressed tonight. I did not hear anyone from College Park East talking about being against housing, as some people have pointed out. Most of the conversation seemed to be against the density here. My comments that I submitted for the draft EIR concerned safety. And this is safety for everyone. These residents that would be in your project, the residents from College Park East, all of us would be using Lamson. And if I'm talking about room for school buses or safe ingress, egress, I'm talking about your residents, La Salle residents, as well as Seal Beach residents, because these residents will impact everything that's on Lamson. Lamson's the only way for College Park East to get in and out of our homes. It will be the only way for these residents to get in and out of their homes. So proper and safe egress, ingress is important. When we were shifting the 405 project closing the on-ramps at Seal Beach Boulevard, everyone went over to Valley View, and that increased traffic. We got a little preview of what that's like. It's very difficult for traffic that is westbound on Lamson to make those left turns into our neighborhood when everything is flowing heavily with traffic, and those people are running those yellow lights and not providing safe. In the final EIR, they state that CHP has 5 accidents in 5 years. That is CHP data, but that doesn't show what's truly there. In the time between 2017 and the end of 22, we had 32 accidents according to Seal Beach PD. And this is from basically unsafe speeds, unsafe turns, inattention, and all these things are dangerous for pedestrians especially. At the moment, we have no bus line. There's nobody going across except an occasional person with their dog walking over there. This project suggests a lot of pedestrian traffic, people walking over to Heather Park, people parking to play soccer, people maybe storing a car there, and 135 students probably coming over to use our bus stop. I just believe that all that should be considered, the safety should be considered, because they're your residents as well as ours. So it's not just Seal Beach complaining. The project is placed down between 2 of our parks. You know, that's advantageous for you. It's concerns for us. The traffic study says that an extra turn at Seal Beach Boulevard will alleviate all the problems, but that puts problems onto Los Al Boulevard too. So please consider these density and all of the traffic that adds to the VMT. All of us are neighbors, and as we said, we're not against the housing per se. It's the density and all the problems it creates and the mitigations which are not adequate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, Dan Brandt, live in College Park East. I've been to a lot of meetings. It's been a while, but just want to talk real quick. Kind of like some people said, we're not against housing. We're not. It's the density here, and from the very beginning, it was the density. And I get there's things that you can do, you know, by law, as far as the bonus density and things like that. But the issue is what's the actual location look like, right? The location, you got a Class 2 bike lane. The reason this development is supposed to be, you're supposed to live and work close. Well, everybody drives their bikes on the one sidewalk we have, because there's no way I don't see any bikes ever go on that Lamson, because it's too dangerous. It needs to be a Class 3 bike lane. That'd be a mitigation I would ask for, and a second sidewalk, because it's not safe, A, for pedestrians to be walking the street when there's e-bikes and regular bikes going on the south side on the sidewalk. Some other issues, veterans, I would hope it's 100% veteran preference, right? That's the people we need to take care of. Now, should there be 77 units and everything else? No, we should bring that down to make it so that the different, mitigation things that we can do to bring that down would be great. Because we haven't answered, they've all talked about it, the parking, the light was removed, that there was potentially going to be a light between the 2 intersections. I don't know how people are going to cross that street. So there's a lot of issues there. The biggest thing to me too also is that FEIR was not cumulative, right? What about the Old Ranch project? What about all these other projects we're talking about? How is that? I mean, I know a lot of comments that came through, and even my comments were, this needs to be a cumulative study. Because I hear stuff like, oh, Lamson doesn't have much traffic. Well, wait till you see there's a car collision and everybody's going through College Park East, right? That we feel that. In the mornings, there's lots of traffic. It's a very dangerous road. There's low visibility. There's a lot of issues there. But we didn't look at it cumulative. We just said, this is their project, but there was no communication with Seal Beach during the process. is very clear in the FER. There was no communication with the people the players that are involved. It was just, we can do this, so we're gonna do it, right? Until now you have to hook up the sewer line and do every different things, right? So like I said, and we're not against housing. I heard people from affordable housing here. I'm great. Some of that is affordable, and hopefully could build it, but let's talk about knocking it down 40, 50% and build it. They still have the numbers in there's still the numbers in the housing element. It's not gonna impact that, but let's bring it down. Bring it down and build it. That's fine, we're not against that. So what you have right now, I don't think is gonna be appropriate, even though you can build it with, well, you won't be able to build it without the sewer line unless you wanna go septic. However, the issue becomes build it smaller, be good neighbors, and then we'll try to work with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, seeing nobody else come up, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. You want to start, Wendy?
Sure. Okay, so why are we sitting here tonight again is because as the planning commissioners, we're trying to make sure that the project will fit not just the city, but safety for our city. We know that this project is going to come forward. That's not the issue. The issue that we're doing is trying to bring about a project that will meet the needs of our community, not impact our neighbors, that we work and be good neighbors, and I understand that. So the fact that people are concerned that we're not building that's not accurate. This project will go through. My concern is, and I've thought about this over the last couple days, we have a project that has been around now, what we haven't seen for a couple years, and then we suddenly get a project and they're trying to push it through. I don't want to push something through and then regret it, because those open up lawsuits down the road, and that's not something we want. We also want to make sure that we're public servants here. We are trying to make sure that what we do is due diligence for our community and for others. We want people to come here, want to be here, we want to build here. So we don't want to build a project that down the road causes such a negative impact across the street, and then it backfires and it's causing a negative impact in our community. So it's not a matter of we're not building. So people who believe that our EIR is not about building a project, that's not what's in question here. It's about having an EIR that's environmentally sound and safe for everybody. And that is my number one concern. Health and safety is my utmost concern for everybody. I work in the medical profession. I know what can happen. I don't want to see a sewer that backs up in Seal Beach, let alone into Los Alamitos. So we need to make sure that we blend this so that everybody is happy with it, it's sound, and it doesn't cause any health concerns down the road. These are big concerns I have. And that's the biggest problem I have with the EIR, is just trying to make sure that what we do for everyone, for the builder, for Los Al, for Seal Beach, for Rossmore, for all of these areas, even Garden Grove, is sound what we do. So that when we approve this EIR, we are happy with what it can do for everybody. When we say, well, they're not our town, well, that may be, but they're going to build next to us here pretty quick, right behind Old Ranch. How will that impact us? Well, we're going to lead today and show them by example that we really care enough about all communities when we build our projects. And that way we can show them, when you're building your project, don't impact ours, because it can. And yeah, so sewer is the number one problem. That does seem to help. We, hearing some things tonight, I heard the fact that we are concerned about kid safety. I'm definitely gonna want them to work with the system to make sure that the bus stops or however they are, kid safety is first and foremost. I don't think even the builder doesn't want that. I can't imagine anybody not putting kids first. And so I do believe that would be something that they're willing to work with. The moon trees, I'm actually glad that I got educated on that. I didn't know that. I'm gonna go down there and look. I think they'll work with us and try to keep those trees. They'll do their best. Sidewalks, I think we're gonna have to work with that. That's fine. Safety for crossing lights, all of these things can be worked out. This is what we're here for tonight. It isn't about not approving the project. It's about approving a project that we move forward in a positive manner and not have something that we just push through and has all kinds of problems that ends up in lawsuits down the road. That is why I sit here tonight. That is why I care. I want the project to go through. Don't misunderstand that. I just want it to be the right project, the right fit, and work for everybody.
Well, excuse me. I'll be the one to speak to the veterans who were here before in our American Legion Hall. I grew up in Los Alamitos. I've been a resident of this town now for the better part of, well, the second iteration, the better part of 20 years. Before that, 20 years. So I grew up in the Highlands. I grew up as the son of a high school teacher and a stay-at-home mom. So I realize what the impact is trying to live in this community, particularly with one parent who was essentially working and trying to pay a mortgage in a very desirable part of Orange County. Los Alamitos and Seal Beach has always been a very desirable place to live. I think we all pride ourselves on the fact that this has been very desirable. I'm a high school teacher, and when I moved back into the area, it was, you know, it certainly wasn't easy for us. My wife and I, my two daughters went to Los Alamitos High School. For us to, you know, find a place that we could, that we could comfortably manage. The one thing about the affordable housing that's being offered, not just to veterans, but we're offering this to all public employees who are going to want to live in this area, as I think many people have pointed out from both Los Alamitos and Seal Beach. I don't think anyone here is going to be opposed to anyone who's going to move into this facility, into this housing development, into the affordable housing, into the townhomes that are being proposed. That is not going to want to make sure that that community is as positive, as safe, as welcoming as it can possibly be. The best way that Seal Beach and Los Alamitos can do that is to work together to try to make this community function so that both can actually benefit from this. I see lots of positives in this project. Most of it being the idea that we are going to now have people in the community that are going to put their best foot forward, that are going to want to be good neighbors. There's no one that's coming into this, that's going to be offered rent here, that's going to be offered, a mortgage, that isn't going to want to make sure that both Los Alamitos and College Park East are going to be desirable, safe, happy places to live.
Art?
I guess, try to get back to the continuation of this meeting. We had several issues that were brought up, in particular, the parking, the 19 feet, the trash enclosure, all met. My major concern is that I want to see the affordable housing built, and I'm going to tell you why. I think we all understand a little bit about the requirement mandate from the state for affordable housing imposed upon all cities. Okay, I don't think there's anybody that likes it, but I think that this is a mandate, and that property is designated, as is the other properties by Seal Beach. They have the same issues that we have meeting those mandates. Los Alamitos has met the mandate. Our housing element has been approved. And for that site, there are required affordable housing. We have a project before us that meets the requirement for the affordable housing. And along with that comes density. And I think it's, you have, it's the balance. For me, it is, we are required by the density bonus legislation to make concessions, to have waivers of our typical development standards. If we did not have the affordable housing, this project would be less dense because it would fall under our typical development standards for the R3 zone. which I might add are a lot more stringent than Seal Beach. Okay? So in that respect, it's probably fortunate this Los Alamitos. I don't know what's going to be going on with your other units in Seal Beach. But we do have this affordable housing. And with that comes the higher density required. Concessions that we have to make are mandated. All right? And my concern, which I feel has been adequately addressed, I have one or two minor issues that can be addressed after the fact. My concern is that if we're going to have to suffer the increased density as a result of affordable housing, I want to make sure that the affordable housing, the best that we can, it is built. Okay? And that has been addressed, and we'll go into that just a little bit later. Since we're kind of doing the broad stroke here, I'll give the broad stroke, and then I think I'd like to get more down into the
You can go into it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the broad stroke is that we can only deal with what we deal with here in Los Alamitos. We listen to the public input. We have to make our decisions based on what's presented to us. We've been presented with an EIR that meets all the standards, all the requirements of a typical EIR. I don't believe without exception. There are issues that are raised and that have been addressed in the EIR. When it comes to the affordable housing and the density, we have met that. When it comes to issues like sewer, traffic, issues like that, as one gentleman pointed out, Seal Beach owns the street. We can't touch it. I agree. And I'm not gonna touch it. We approved the project as it is, which all lies within the jurisdiction of Los Alamitos. The sewers all belong to Seal Beach. Absent Seal Beach, it would be up to the Rossmore-Los Alamitos Sewer District, if they're able to provide the sewer service. Rest assured, there will be no construction unless they have a sewer hookup. That falls on Seal Beach. That falls on the applicant. He's got to maneuver that in order to get his sewer connection. What we do here tonight is either approve or disapprove a project that is in the city of Los Alamitos, not Seal Beach. Okay? And so, for those that are concerned about sewage, I think you do have a concern. You have a very real concern regarding sewage. You know, we heard last week sitting council members coming in here and admitting that you have sewer water in your streets. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, you guys, Seal Beach has a problem that they need to deal with. Okay, at least beyond the sewer district for the Rossmore-Los Alamitos Sewer District. I'm familiar with this stuff. But these are issues that have to be taken up with Seal Beach. The applicant will have to deal with it. All we deal with today, tonight, is this project. And we can, with respect to costs and stuff like that of the sewer, how it affects the Rossmore-Los Alamitos, the people in Rossmore with respect to their bills. It's an independent special district, not related to the city, not related to the state. It is an independent special district with members that live in Rossmore, Los Alamitos, whoever makes up that district. Okay? How they choose to fund that sewer, if they become involved with it, that's up to that district and the applicant to work that out. That district has meetings. If you live in Rossmore, if you live in Los Alamitos, you need to attend those meetings and voice your concerns there. Tell you historically, when this something like this has happened in Los Alamitos with sewage running in the street because of the base, we shut down a base project immediately and required the base to put in a 30-inch sewer line to take everything from the base in perpetuity. And the base paid for it. They didn't want to, but they had no choice. So it's, you know, issues apart from this project are the Seal Beach issue, sewer district issue. All we can do is we can look at a project that's before us, and based on what we have, does it meet the requirements of the state? We're all operating under the mandate. If we did not have a state mandate, I wouldn't go for this. There's a lot of stuff we do that we don't like to do, but our hands are tied, and this is one of them. And all I can say is I believe it's a good project for what we have to deal with. I think it's aesthetic. I think it meets the needs, especially for the affordable housing. It's going to fulfill a need here not only in the city, in the area. So that's where I'm coming from. And unless anybody else, we can keep going with the broad stroke. If we want to get into the minutia here, I'd like to proceed on.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, through the chair, if I could, I'd like to make just one quick clarification regarding the project's density. There was a statement made that may have suggested that there's added density as a result of the affordable component of this project. The applicant is in fact utilizing the density bonus law to seek some concessions and waivers, and would also be eligible to reduce parking standard, which they have not utilized. But significantly, this project site is zoned R3 under the zoning code, which allows a base density of 25 units per acre. That would result in a permissible unit count of 308 units on that site based on the zoning and the acreage. The applicant is actually proposing 246 units. So they're actually proposing below the permitted max on the site for our zoning code. And again, they have not sought to utilize the density bonus, which pursuant to state law would in fact allow them to add as many as 154 additional units on top of that 308 base number if they so wanted. So just a quick clarification that as far as our zoning code calculations are concerned, this site is compliant with permitted densities and is not enhancing density through the density bonus law.
Okay, thank you. Art, do you just want to finish? I mean, go with whatever your comments.
I wanted to just drill down a little bit.
Yeah.
On the conditions, I am prepared to make a motion to approve the project with some changes that I would like to see in here, and we can talk about that. On page 3 of our of the conditions, get into the conditions. And this would be condition 16. Some of the language in here caught my attention as I was reading it. We have on here on paragraph A, well, there's 16A, page 3. First sentence, in the middle, it says, applicant shall convey parcel 1 to an affordable housing provider. I don't have any problem with the shall. I prefer to see the word may in there. It doesn't preclude him from doing it, but it also allows him to retain an element of control if he wishes. But I don't know that we should, unless there's some other reason that we should require him to transfer the title. I'd rather have it as may, and they can do it if they wish or not wish. It's fine by me. The other, in item C, timing of construction. I like this. I like this paragraph because it does provide an element of security that the units, the affordable units, are going to be built. And it's going to be built because the final 17 market rate units that are constructed, they cannot receive their certificates of occupancy until, we have here until the construction has commenced on that site. So we have 17 units of the affordable that will be, lack of a better word, I guess, held hostage until the affordable housing construction has commenced. With respect to commenced, I would like to see that change to completed on the final 17. That's something that we can have the applicant come back up if need be, second. But my opinion on that is that you're building 169 market rate homes. The final 17, you should be far enough along. I don't know how long it's going to take. I gotta think it's going to be 2 to 3 years. By that time, we better have that affordable housing, on track and ready to go. The important thing is that this be, I want it to happen. I mean, and there's a lot of, I'm not saying a lot, I'm not in that business, but I don't know what the uncertainty is, but I would like to hold those 17 market rate homes in abeyance until we get the affordable housing built. And then after that, I don't believe you need any, you can continue on in there. There needs to be a cleanup on the last sentence. I don't think you need the last sentence in that paragraph. It says he can build the final 17, and he can still build the remaining 152 units. I don't think we need to have too much. I'd like to see that basically eliminated.
What part do you want removed, Art?
On C,
Mm-hmm.
if you read it, it says the applicant it starts off by saying that the construction of the affordable housing complex must be commenced prior to the issuance of certificates of occupancy.
Right.
Then it goes on next, says applicant may construct and obtain certificates of occupancy for the 152, the remaining 152 market rate units on parcel 2. And the problem is it says prior to the issuance of a building permit for parcel 1. I think that's fine. However, certificates of occupancy will be withheld for the remaining, and it talks about 10%. That number should be, if we're going to keep this sentence, should be 17. Get the 10%, 17 units. And here it says until such time as the building permit has been issued. In the first sentence it talks about construction being commenced, and in the last sentence it talks about the permit issued. There's a difference between a permit issued and construction commencing. Okay, I mean, you can pull a permit and never start. Okay, so I think that either, if we're going to keep this, and I think the staff can kind of clean this up, I think we can see where we're going, but it needs to be consistent. My preference is that instead of being commenced, I think it should be completed. The project is 90% done and built out. It's just, then the other issue I have, not issue, but recommendation, on page 4, next page, number 18, there's going to be a regulatory agreement between the city and the owner that will end up being recorded upon the affordable housing parcel 1. Just, I guess it's a recommendation that when you record it, when do you record it? I think it should be recorded concurrently with the filing of the tract map that creates parcel 1 and parcel 2. And that would be tract map 2022-133. So we have all of our we have that regulatory agreement prepared, and it's gonna be recorded on the property anyway, I think the timing should be recorded concurrently with the track map. That just prevents anything creeping in on the public record between that regulatory agreement and the track map. I used to work for a title insurance company, and I know how things, recording dates and when things happen are critical. You don't want something creeping in the night before, and I don't think that's a recommendation there. And lastly, on number 21, pertaining to the regulatory agreement, I think the language that's incorporated, the timing in paragraph 16, should be incorporated into that regulatory agreement that gets recorded, so that it's clear to everybody who's involved with that there's a 77-unit building, and that there's that should be added into that. And then also that I mentioned this in the last meeting, my concern about access to the being obstructed on the road. You have, when we're done here and we split the lot, you have parcel 1, parcel 2, you have separate ownership of the affordable units, and then you have the parcel 2 with the condo. You have a roadway there. You have, your property line runs right down there. You don't want either side wanting to either put a gate in or restrict, obstruct access to the ingress and egress points on that. So I think a place to deal with that, absent an easement, would be to put it in the regulatory agreement that's recorded on, that is between the parties, and then recorded on the affordable housing, so that, and also into the CCNRs. You'll have it recorded on the affordable housing, but with the condos, I think the more appropriate place, rather than trying to encumber that parcel, would be to put it in the CCNRs, that, so everybody there knows that they can't be obstructing the roadway. The only other thing would be what Commissioner Hasty brought up, adding some type of a language in there that the city is at no expense on condition 109, something about the cost of sewers, and we're not going to be incurring, the city, not going to be incurring any expense related to the sewers. I don't know that that's even needed. I'll throw that out. That's what I have.
Art, the only thing that I don't agree with you on is item 6, page 3, item 16, number C. I don't think we can expect that those 17 units are going to be not occupied until the construction is completed of the, I mean, maybe construction commenced instead of building permit, but, I mean, as the affordable housing, sorry, I don't remember your name, guy said last time, you know, getting the financing is going to take, they're going to get grants and federal money. You know, I don't think they're going to be able to afford to have 17 units sit vacant for, you know, could be 2 years before the affordable housing's done, after these are
Well,
done.
the 17 units is on the market rate.
I know.
Out of 169.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can,
Well, I'm okay with that. If we can leave it at commenced, but I'm all right with that.
Okay.
I'm all right with that. Whatever commencing construction means. I know what completion means. But, that's what I meant.
okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break.
Again, this is.
At this time, I'd like to call the applicant up to address some of Art's concerns.
Thank you. So Commissioner
Excuse
DeBolt.
me, could you please stop talking in the back?
Sir. Thank you.
Commissioner DeBolt, thank you for the comments. To kind of take them sequentially. 16C, we're comfortable with reconciling the reference to the complex must be commenced prior to issuance of certificates of occupancy for the final 17 market rate units on parcel 2, and running that through later in that same paragraph to replace where it says prior to the issuance of building permit, to reconcile that to construction to be commenced. Comfortable with that.
Sorry for the interruption, but are we going to define commenced? I know
Well,
that's
candidly, that's why we thought building permit was clearer. I mean, a lot of this is driven, as we explained at the last meeting, by what the market rate public builders can bear, really, candidly. And when we ran this condition, once it came out by them, the issuance of a building permit is a more definable, clear, thing that they can kind of get their head around. Given the discussion, I think we can get them comfortable with commencing construction, but I mean,
That could be grading the parcel.
I would rather have it be specifically defined to a particular part where Art especially is comfortable, whether that be grading, because commencing can very well be a building permit. You can
Well-
construction with a.
Not
Understood.
grading, though.
The site will already have been graded because there's a different condition that provides that before the market rate can have a building permit issued, both sites have to be graded. So the grading will already have taken place.
Are you aware of any phases for the affordable housing units that where phase 1 would be the foundational issues, or anything like that you're?
Well, they would start with foundation, obviously, and all of that. But I don't believe they're planning to phase it. It's a 3-building, it's a smaller project, so I don't think there'll be any phasing associated with that now.
I would like to see commenced be defined somewhere, because commenced is vague and ambiguous, in my opinion. It's, building permit, as you said, is more definite. I don't think Art was comfortable with building permit, but I would like to see it commenced be something where construction is actually being commenced, like a foundation is being poured.
Okay, let's, Michael.
I mean, I think the problem with that is that in order for a foundation to be poured, you have to pour footings, and you have to have, civil engineers come out and plot lines. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that are further downstream that could be 2 or 3 months after building permits. And again, just to reiterate, what the public home builders, what we're hearing is they're comfortable with the condition as building permits. But if we start getting into something that's harder to define and is going to create more challenges there, this project could have a problem of getting built, and that's not what we're looking for.
Art addressed the building permits, though. You can get building permits and sit on them for 2 years.
No, I understand. I'm not,
So
I'm-
it's,
yeah.
you pour a foundation, now you're vested in the property and the permit, so.
If I could, I do like the idea of building permits because it gives you something objective that the city's able to look at and say, yes, this milestone has been achieved, they've pulled permits. I also understand the concern that someone can pull permits, sit on them, never execute any work under those permits, and now they've met the condition. So the language remains somewhat vague, but I would propose perhaps the idea of building permits being issued and construction commenced prior to the expiration or any applicable extensions of those permits. That would mean that you have to come in, file for a permit, get it issued, and actually
start
do
work.
something within the 180 days that permit is valid for
I
in
would
order to
agree.
meet that milestone.
I would agree with that.
I'm good with that.
That's fine.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that works for us. Thank you.
Define more, that's what I like. I'm an attorney,
That works
sorry.
for us. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. That makes it easier for us as well. As far as the request that the regulatory agreement be recorded concurrently with the TTM, we can commit to that. That's not a problem. Embedding the language of the building permit into condition 21 is fine with us as well. And then the question about ensuring that the traffic circulation remains fluid through the 2 two sites and that there's not a fence built. I think that was your question of an easement.
Some type of,
Right.
preventing any obstruction by.
Walling off.
Any obstruction or hindering, just thinking down the road, you're gonna have an apartment complex here, and you're gonna have a R1, a single-family development here, for lack of a better word, cut through traffic, somebody on their way to the apartment, or somebody, they turn in the one driveway and then drive down instead of going to the second one.
Right.
Just,
Understood.
you know, we're all gone. and
That's our
cropped
goal,
up.
that's our goal too. So I think we can achieve that in a couple ways. One, it will be in the CCNRs.
Right.
Two, there, on page 1 of the TTM, there is already a easement in favor of Los Alamitos for the fire access, which will preclude anybody from walling that off because
All right.
there's that already in place.
All right.
So, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Wendy
Okay.
didn't
So
talk about
I didn't add what I'd like to put on. So on the first page, on the following conditions, the very first paragraph, that I would rather not see any permit issued by the city of LaSalle for grading or construction until the applicant secured from the city of Seal Beach the will letter for sanitation, if it has to come from Seal Beach. So I don't want to see work started until we do have that will letter.
The will serve,
Yeah, will serve letter.
isn't that part of?
So that'll be a part of it, yeah, but I want to make sure it's in place.
Isn't it?
I don't think they're doing any work until they get it.
Yeah.
They can't, but I just
I
want to
know.
be guaranteed.
They have
But
that.
I'm just picky.
We already
All right.
That's not a big one. On item 15 on page 3, I just want to emphasize, this isn't an airport, this is a military base. And I'd like to make sure that we kind of put it as a military base. So if I remember right, I'm trying to think of which area. Oh, it was the people right there by the Target Rossmore who complained of all the noise. Highlands at one point, because of the military base. I want these people to have it written that they know that this is a military base, that this is not aircraft. These can be helicopters, aircraft, they have shows, they have things coming in. So just so that we acknowledge it's not an airport, and that this is a different type of sound, so that we don't get complaints all day long. And then item 22. I'd like to have it say that, not that the city manager is authorized to approve and execute all regulatory agreements and amendments, but that the required all agreements to come before the city council.
That seems like it would hold up a lot if you have to get on the calendar and.
You still, it shouldn't, the city manager shouldn't be authorizing, because they work for the council. The council works for the citizens or the residents. If the authority comes at if they're gonna make changes, interpretations and that and waivers, that should be actually brought back and potentially even back to us. But
I mean, I would think it would go to the city planner.
No, doesn't it?
I mean,
No, so in our city, any types of agreement is signed by either city council or the city manager.
Okay.
So I, even in my title, cannot sign agreements.
Okay.
So,
Oh, I thought you were
Yeah,
gonna say something.
Oh, well, I can speak to the intent of that because I've seen that condition imposed elsewhere. The idea of that is just simply efficiency, and that the mandatory terms of the regulatory agreement itself should be specified in the conditions. That's why there's a fairly significant treatment of the things that must be included in that agreement within the conditions. So that's just the intent, is that you would have it specified here, and that you have the administrative efficiency now, that the city manager, through working with the city attorney's office in terms of approving the form and so forth, can go ahead and get that agreement finalized and recorded.
Okay.
That's just the rationale.
That's all.
okay.
Me to go?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go. So I think our main, at least how I feel, our main responsibility up here as the Planning Commission, it is to the residents of Los Alamitos. But I think also our job is to be sure that the process and the guidelines, CEQA, EIR, those kind of things are followed. And on that respect, and then also look at the project to see how those fit in. One of the things we'll be doing tonight is agreeing to some of the statement of overriding conditions and things like that, as far as mitigation. I know that the city has worked really hard on this project. I think the developer has also worked very hard on this project, and we can see the cooperation. And I think the community has kind of, at least tonight, come together to realize that this is a housing project. There is some things that we have to do. There's some things we like to do. There's some things we can't do. But I think to reiterate what Commissioner Gross said, you can be for this project, but still expect to have the the T's crossed and the I's dotted. And I think we're also understanding, is my understanding, that we're also under different constraints as a planning commission now with this type of project, and what we can do and how much time we can take to do it. So, I think there are some issues. I think there's some mitigations that have been brought up. There's some good solutions. I think staff has been good, the developer's been good to look at those mitigations and come up with stuff that's reasonable for the project. I just wish, that and I guess I'm more into the weeds of stuff, that we had more time to look at this and really get down to make sure everything that could be good. I don't like to see unintended consequences. And I think sometimes when you enter these projects, you want to try and mitigate those as well. I joked about that maybe we should have an unintended consequences report, instead of an EIR. Because I think that's really what residents get upset about when the project's done. So I had one question in regards to the process and the CEQA and EIR. And I think it was brought up tonight, but with the EIR that we're and this is probably going to be for the consultant, with the EIR that we're approving tonight, possibly approving tonight, or moving on tonight, recommending tonight, was there a requirement in the current CEQA to take into respect any known projects, or were there any known projects at the time when the EIR was drafted? Known projects that would impact, first question would be, is there any requirement by CEQA to put those into consideration when creating your mitigation and your EIR report? And were there any noticeable, we've heard it tonight, Old Ranch, other things that are in the area? That's my question.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Bill Halligan, consultant to the city. And yeah, so absolutely, when you prepare an environmental impact report, you have to look at cumulative impacts. So there's two ways to do it. You can do a list approach, or you can look at cumulative projections. And so the EIR does evaluate cumulative impacts of projects, known projects that are going on in the area. So it is reasonably known potential future projects. And those are considered when you come up with mitigation measures. So if the project by itself doesn't create an impact, you also have to look at the cumulative impacts, and then there would be potential fair share contributions to mitigate those cumulative impacts.
And you're saying that's in here?
Correct. That's in the EIR.
Okay. That's all I got, I guess.
Nothing for you. All right. I was extremely happy with a lot of the comments, both for and against the project. I was a little bit disappointed with some other comments about invading a city. We're going to do it because we can. Some of these things are extremely negative. We live in a city, both Los Alamitos, Rossmore, and Seal Beach. When you ask communities around us and you tell them you live in Los Alamitos, most of the time they think you live in Seal Beach or Rossmore. We share school districts. We share a lot of things. And I don't think that's gone unnoticed with this plan, okay? Yes, we're independent cities in an unincorporated area, but we share a lot of the same things, okay? My kids go to school at Rossmore Elementary, okay? I coach football. Games are at McAuliffe in Los Alamitos, but I practice in Rossmore at Rush Park. I play softball Tuesday nights at down in Seal Beach, okay? People come up here, get their groceries, they go to Norm's to get their cars done. Everybody in our respective area does not limit themselves to their respective cities. And we got to understand that we are a community that does have to respect other people's boundaries and other people's jurisdictions. And in my opinion, while we do have obligations as a planning commission to do what's right for our city, we should consider other cities. But I honestly, looking at this, think that we did, okay? I think that we did consider other cities and other surrounding, our neighbors, okay? As City Council said, this project is 246 units on R3. He said we could have had a possibility with density bonuses of 450 units. I personally think there's going to be complaint if there were 50 units, if there were 100 units, if there was 150 units. The same complaints are going to come up. The fact is, our job here is not to put down another city, tell them you're only looking out for yourself. We're not. And there's going to be a point in time where Seal Beach looks to Los Al for something, where Rossmore looks to Los Al for something. And we're going to help them, or we're not. And that's going to be a determination at that point in time. Nevertheless, our job here is to use the evidence that has been presented to us and make a decision on this project and this project alone. The EIR is not improper in this situation, okay? It is approved and follows the CEQA requirements. Yes, there are certain things that are considered to be adverse to the communities, but our job isn't to limit every single adverse thing that happens. Our job is also to weigh and balance to whether the benefit outweighs the adverse effect. It's actually a very common legal principle that I have to deal with every day as an attorney. So we can't make the perfect plan. It most likely will never happen. Seal Beach will see this exact same thing when they start building their projects. They will not be able to build a perfect plan. The only thing that is known is we as a city are mandated under the RENA requirements to build a lot of units in our city with nowhere to put them. How are we going to do that? Most likely, it's going to be extremely difficult, and I don't see us finishing. That's something that was bestowed upon us from the higher ups that we have to follow. I personally think this project could have been a lot bigger. But we as a city and the developers decided we don't want it that big. We want opportunities for not only affordable housing, but for first-time home buyers and people to come into our community and share our schools. You know, we had people come up here and discuss property tax bills and things like that. Well, there's shared cost to everything. I pay on on my bills for the school district. Well, we have a lot of people outside the school district that are bringing in their kids to go to our schools that don't pay a dime towards our school district in their taxes. This will allow us to fund our school district with 246 new property tax bills. Okay? It is not a perfect system. Nothing is perfect, but we have to balance the pros and cons. I'd like to address a lot of the people's concerns with the water source, the sewer, the storm drainage. That was addressed in here. Look, if the project cannot get water from Seal Beach or Golden State, the project's not gonna happen. If they can't get water there, they will not start digging in the ground. That's a guarantee. That would be a lost cause. If they can't get a sewer, they will not start construction. And in fact, in Part 109 of this, it says they can't. Approval of a sewer capacity study is required from the applicable sewer agency prior to the issuance of a building permit. That is in here. So my concerns, and that is a sewer study, a sewer capacity study. If the concerns are in fact that Seal Beach Sewer cannot hold this project because the sewer capacity says so, well, guess what? They got to find another source. And whether that's going to LaSalle, Rossmore Sewer District, paying at their own expense, which was addressed earlier, to get to that line, that's going to be up to the developer. If they can't do it and it makes their bottom line not affordable, guess what? This project's not going to happen, and they're going to have to relook at their numbers. I really think that we, as a planning commission, need to look at the whole here. We cannot look at the perfect scenario. The perfect scenario is not going to happen. We are balancing two things here. The RENA numbers that we have to comply with, and some disgruntled residents and other people, and environmental impact. We need to take all the evidence that we've heard and decide whether we can push this project forward. I also do know that there are limitations to how far we can push this along, on how many hearings we can do it, and that's shared with the council. So I think today, we need to think and come up with a decision to move this along. Whatever changes you want to see made, please argue a motion, have them included, pass or fail. We need to push this along today. This project, as Ms. Gross actually said, is going to happen. Today? Is it going to happen tomorrow? I don't know. But we need to look at our responsibilities here as a planning commission and decide whether we have been provided enough evidence to do our part and move this along. Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I think that was Mr.
Oh, go ahead, Art.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we approve the project, and I'm sure we'll have to do these individually.
Yeah, each resolution.
Okay, and I asked the attorney, I raised some changes in here. Are these small enough that they can be, we don't need to come back, that you can make these
Yes.
changes incorporated into the motion, and then make them and move this on to the city council?
Yeah, I would ask that we specify what those changes are for the record, and then those modifications will be, if this were to move on to the city council as a recommendation tonight, those changes would be made by staff and presented to the council in their report.
All right, so how do we want to do this?
I have some notes. I can try to stumble through the items you listed and then also mention additions that Commissioner Gross was seeking, and we can decide what you'd like to include in your motion.
All right.
If that works.
Okay, so,
And
all right.
And if I fall off pace, please help me find my way. There's a lot of numbers and language floating around.
All right.
So I believe the first change would have been to condition of approval 16C, where we were talking about,
Excuse me, Michael, you want to go in order?
Yeah.
Because Commissioner Gross wanted to change on number 15,
okay.
right? Yeah.
Just taking them in the order I wrote them
yeah.
down, but we can do that.
So the applicant, in condition 15 is, instead of airport influence area, she would, is requesting, it says military base influence area. And as it goes down, may experience annoyance or inconvenience associated with proximity to the military base operation. Okay?
I would,
Should it say airport/military
yes,
base? Because I believe that is technically an
Yeah,
airport.
yeah, it is an airport. I'll
Military
just
slash
touch on-
airport.
When you get into disclosures in your real estate transactions, it is an airport, and airport can be military or,
So it is noted as military base slash
you can-
airport.
just put airport slash and then military airfield base,
installation.
yeah.
Military inst-
Because they have tenants on the base too. It's not all military.
Well, I think it's for purposes of 15.
right?
Then I'll jump
Yeah,
back
go ahead.
to 16C, where we had the concept of withholding 10% of the market rate units until we had issuance of building permits on the affordable component of the project. We are seeking to clarify that it's issuance of building permits and commencement of construction in accordance with those permits prior to their expiration would be the change language.
Yes.
Yes. And with respect to the 10%, use the number 17,
Okay.
okay? Don't use, because it was unclear to me, 10% of what? I mean, it wasn't, just make it,
And then-
make the number, the
Okay.
number of units, 17 units.
On condition number 18, we had the regulatory agreement being recorded concurrently with the track map for parcel 1.
Yes, and that was track map 2022-133. That's the,
Okay. From there, we had condition of approval 21, indicating that the timing requirements outlined in section C above should be specifically stated in the regulatory agreement.
yes, okay.
We also had a requirement that a condition be added to ensure that there's reciprocal access between parcel 1 and 2, and that requirement be recorded in the regulatory agreement and the CCNRs.
Yeah, and the CCNRs, and I think it's on the track map, there was a reference.
There's a note
A
on
note
the
on the
track map for
yes.
access for emergency vehicles.
Right.
And then we had condition, see, I'm going out of order again, I apologize.
Could I ask clarification on
Yeah.
that track map real quick while you're looking? That was the new track map we got?
There are two track maps. There's the track map that basically, I think, splits the lot into
Right.
the whole property into parcel 1, parcel 2. Then there's another track map, it's a condominium track map, okay, which sets up the condominium.
So I guess my question was, we got new
Parcels.
copies,
Parcels.
updated copies, and I looked real quick, I couldn't find a clouded change. Is that the change you're talking about, the egress? Is that what it was?
No.
Oh, we'll let the applicant.
Yeah,
let
that's
us
easier,
know
thank
what
you.
the
Just for
change is.
clarification. I
One
didn't
of
see
them's
a clouded-
technically a parcel map, and the other's a tentative track map. On the tentative track map, there wasn't a change, but there is a notation on the first page that shows an easement for fire access in favor of the city of Los Alamitos.
Okay, I was looking, I couldn't find it,
Right.
so thank you.
Okay. The next condition I had noted was condition of approval 22, whereas right now it would authorize the city manager to execute the regulatory agreement. The recommendation was that we specify that that the regulatory agreement itself be approved by city council, and any determinations, amendments, and so forth also go back to the city council.
I'm okay with the city manager.
I am too.
I'm okay with city manager.
Okay.
Okay.
I would, yeah. that's the reason.
I would think any substantive change or amendment is going to end up probably before the city council in any event.
Okay, and then at Condition of approval 109, this pertains to sewer connections, studies, et cetera. We want to clarify that this would be done at no expense to the city of Los Alamitos.
Right.
And I believe Commissioner Gross also wanted to include a requirement that the will serve, and if you can help me clarify this, that the will serve letter would be required prior to grading permits to any site work, not, right now it's specified as prior to building permits, which is distinct, obviously, from a grading permit for site work.
Is that an-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yep. One last.
Big building.
Is that it?
That's all I had, I believe.
I mentioned about the shall comply, may comply. Or convey, I mean, shall convey.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Make it permit, but
16A.
not
He
mandatory.
didn't address that. I don't know if that's,
Yes. Oh, you want the applicant, to,
yeah, he went to, May, fine, okay.
It gives him more.
Yeah.
so it did say applicant shall, so we're gonna revise that to applicant may.
May.
Okay.
Okay. So I believe that
That's it.
encapsulates your motion.
So, yes, I'll make the motion for approval.
I'll second it.
For
With those changes.
For 2024-06,
Well, let's,
because there's 4 resolutions.
okay. So, yes, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-06. We can take them in order. Is that how you want to do that?
I'll second
Yeah.
it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
And
Do we have a motion on 2024-07?
I'll make that motion as well.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion approved. Resolution 2024-08.
I'll move that as well. Make a
I'll
motion to
second.
approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion approved. 2024-09.
I'll make a motion to
I'll
approve.
second it.
For 09.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
With the changes,
Okay,
right?
motion approved.
Okay.
All right. With that, yeah. We'll move on to staff report, the Community Development Block Grant.
All right, thank you, Commissioner, our Chair Colte. I'm gonna have Tom, our Associate Planner, take us through the report.
Yeah, excuse me while I read. Chair Quilty and members of the Planning Commission,
I'll let 'em
Why don't we wait till they
yeah,
leave?
let's wait a minute.
We'll wait. Everybody want to bail out of here, you can bail out of here.
Thank you for wearing the UCLA shirt. Yes. My alma mater.
That's as far as it goes, isn't it?
See? That's what I should have worn. We should have all come UCLA.
Should've brought up that
About Dodgers.
we did, we made this R3. So our
World Series is a battle between
reference
SC
to
and
this.
UCLA.
Could have been
Dave
before.
Roberts went to
Could've been R4
UCLA, and
yep.
I forget the other guy's name, who went to USC. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, the Orange County Community Resources filters federal development, community development block grants, which are CDBG grants to the city of Los Alamitos. And its program provides federal funds to cities with populations under 50,000. That's why we're given it by the county rather than directly from HUD. And the funds are commonly used for neighborhoods that have a substantial number of low-income residents and can be used for senior or ADA projects as well. Orange County Community Resources Department requests that the city hold a community meeting to discuss the use of community development block grant funds with interested community members. The Planning Commission acts as a conduit to provide this opportunity. These funds are pursued through competitive grant applications
Excuse
that are
me a
sent to
minute.
the county.
Can we
Oh,
shut
Can we
the
just
door?
shut the door?
yeah, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Make sure my husband's upright too.
Once grants are awarded, the county assists the city in managing the projects and preparing the reports for HUD. The city of Los Alamitos has used such grants for years. often being awarded CDBG funds to improve public facilities within the city's low-income census tracts. During the current fiscal year, CDBG funds will be used for the replacement of asphalt on various streets in Apartment Row. Last year's CDBG funds will be used to create an ADA-compliant park at Labradette. Before that, it was Stearns. City staff has identified a project idea that could be applied for this year or in the future, which is a street repair for Reagan Street from Farquhar to Catella Avenue, since that's in the low-income census tract.
Is that the street that the fire department's on?
No.
No.
They're at Reagan and Green.
Right. So we would ask.
But Reagan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we would ask for $350,000, and then we have to provide a 20% match, city match. And the report said 10%, but actually it's 20%. I wrote that wrong. It is recommended that the commissioners open a discussion for public comment, and this concludes my report.
Thank you.
And you can comment as well. That's what I'm.
I think that's an excellent use, because I turn left there to avoid Catella and Los Alamitos Boulevard, and there are huge potholes. I mean, you are, especially by the fire department.
Yeah.
You know, which probably isn't safe for them to be going over them.
Four-wheel drive.
Yeah. Anybody else have any comments?
No.
You have to
Okay.
open the meeting,
To
don't
the
you?
public.
Oh,
Close.
well, I'll open up the public hearing if anybody would like to come forward. Seeing nobody come forward, we'll close the public hearing.
That it?
So I guess that's it on that one, right? We don't, okay, do we have any items from the Development Services Director?
Yes, thank you. I have a few. I think the first one we want to tackle here is the regular scheduled meeting for Planning Commission in November and December falls basically on a holiday. It's next month in November is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and I believe the December one is actually on Christmas Day. So I just want to see and gather your thoughts on maybe holding a joint, if we have an agenda item, together for a November-December Planning Commission meeting for possibly December 18th.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll be out of town, but, oh wait,
Why?
I'll run it, don't
I'm gonna
worry.
be in Culver City, Lucas.
Let's make sure that we here will be here, but I'm gonna make sure that our city attorney is available. Looking clear. All right. So if we're gonna proceed with December, I'm sorry, yeah,
18th.
December 18th, correct.
So then, just to be clear, there will not be a planning commission meeting in November.
That is correct. Okay. Again, we are planning for December 18th, unless we do not have an item, and if we don't have an item, we go dark. Okay. So that's for clarification. Our plan here is to, in January, it's a different commission, but we plan on taking to the Traffic Commission our completion of our permit, parking, and street sweeping survey. So we're hoping to get that finished at the Traffic Commission level in January. The reason why I'm telling you that is we will then bring either in February or March the neighborhood signage survey results to the Planning Commission at that time. All right, so I just want to give you a preview on that. A couple events that we have this Saturday: Trunk or Treat held at Little Cottonwood Park. I invite you and your families, and of course the residents of our community, to come out and have a safe alternative method of trick-or-treating, and you were safe in a park, and trick-or-treat from trunks. I know I'm gonna get kind of given an evil eye because I don't know the sponsor of the event, and I'm supposed to tell you that, but again, it's from 5:30 to 7. We have trunks. We have a free pumpkin patch. I believe we have like a pie eating contest, and basically a lot of fun. So come on out. Again, this Saturday, Little Cottonwood Park, trunk or treat. And I want to remind that we have a Nights on Pine that's held on Pine Street in collaboration with Elite Special Events. It's a kind of a night market where we have entertainment, we have food, we have vendors. And so again, Nights on Pine, it's scheduled for November 16th. Is that correct? Anything else from our manager, Irving Montenegro?
Nope.
All right. Thank you.
Do we have any commissioner reports?
How, the medical office, going to be the one that they're going past Catella, and it's one that they stopped building for a while, then they restarted, got the,
Okay, yeah.
what's the
The
condition?
two-story one?
Yeah, what's the status on that?
It's been held up, but our building department has told them that their building permits were about to expire, and so they've extended them.
Okay.
And it's family emergencies that they're dealing with, so, yeah, that's why it's been held up for such a long time.
Yeah, I hadn't seen anything for a bit. It starts to go,
Yeah.
then stops, starts to go.
Right, yeah, it's been very sad for the family, so, yeah,
Sorry to hear that.
yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Yep.
Yes.